Colour balance affects all of the colours in our images. It's generally affected by the time of day we're shooting those images. Now we can see the effect of this more clearly just after sunset or before sunrise, and at times a picture can look very blue. But if the blue in the image is wrong, then because colour is on a spectrum, every other colour is wrong too. So colour balance is pretty important. Now I've opened this image up into Adobe Camera Raw because it's a very, very good example of exactly what I'm talking about. So to put right our colour balance, we need to select the white balance tool. In Adobe Camera Raw, we'll find that within the Basic tab. There it is, over on the right hand side. Once we select it, we need to look around the image for a place where we expect the tones there to be neutral. Now, a good example here is the water. Whenever have you seen water moving like we can see here, as blue as it is? We need to make sure we don't click on something that has no detail at all, but this is a well exposed image, we don't have that problem here. All I need to do to put right the colour balance is to select a little bit of this white water, or choose which bit to click on. Let's choose this bit here just under the big rock, and I'll click once and you'll see exactly what I mean. Not only that, you'll see that if the blue colours are not right, all of the other colours aren't either. Now when I clicked into this location, if you'd been looking over at the Basic tab on the right hand side, the temperature and the tint, you would have seen them both move. Let me just double click to reset both of these. Now keep your eyes on these two sliders as I do exactly the same again. So there you can see exactly how much movement was needed in these two sliders to affect the change we're viewing. But look at the water. The water is now white. We can be pretty confident that the colour balance is pretty much right. But we can always use that click with the eyedropper tool as a starting point, because I could go back over on the right hand side, and if I wanted a slightly cooler look to my image, then I could adjust the temperature back downwards a little bit. These are all going to be personal choices. Alternatively, I may want a warmer look for this image. In that case, I may want to step it up a little bit higher. So we've got the colour balance, which is quite crucial to correct. But there's also a degree of freedom that we have, creative freedom, to choose a slightly different temperature and tint. Now after you've used the eyedropper tool for a little while, you'll find you get quite skilled at knowing where to click. But don't worry if you click in areas that are clearly wrong, because we can click around as many times as we wish until we get the effect we want. And of course, as I've said, we can use this as a jumping off point or a preset, and then make personal changes to the temperature and the tint. So generally speaking, the white balance tool does a pretty good job, although we can put in personal changes if we wish. But we have two sliders, so we've got an infinite number of different settings here. I tend to think of the tint as something I would use to correct colour, whereas the temperature, I tend to think of that as a more creative tool. As I've suggested, we could make the image a little cooler or maybe a little warmer, and that's a personal choice. Now here, as you can see, I've opened up the manipulated version. This is exactly the same image, but of course once I've corrected the colour balance, it does give us a degree of confidence to go forward with the rest of the editing. Now this image, which looks pretty awful, doesn't it, is exactly the same image we've just been looking at, but I removed the colour balance changes that I made. That's all I did. which indicates that if we don't correct the colour balance, there are times when we increase saturation elsewhere that we turn the water a ridiculous colour of blue.